Welcome to the Gray Area. It's your man Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Appreciate everyone subscribing to my YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also at Kevin Gray Sports. The Dallas Mavericks get blown out on Christmas Day by 23, 138 to 115 as the Los Angeles Lakers use 35 second chance points to the Mavericks 0 to dominate Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks in Luka's first ever Christmas Day game appearance. LeBron James and Anthony Davis were their spectacular selves as they dominated from start to finish as the Los Angeles Lakers get their first win on the season while sending the Dallas Mavericks to 0-2. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks got out-rebounded 53 to 27 in a game where they gave up over 56% shooting, and the Los Angeles Lakers shot nearly 49% from the three-point line. So it was not a good night for the Dallas Mavericks as they continue to struggle as far as the rebounding category is concerned, and also in the toughness department. A team in the Dallas Mavericks that seemed to not be inspired at all despite playing on Christmas Day, and guys like Luka Doncic, who did have 27 points, also had a negative 14 in terms of plus minus. But more importantly, it seemed like the Mavericks were completely uninspired in a day where the showcase of the league is on display, especially when you're in the prime time game, as the Dallas Mavericks were, and being in that limelight, they did not show up and showed up real small. Rick Carlisle talking about the game after the game was over with, saying that rebounding is a problem and it's something that is a concern that they were going to have to address. And that is an understatement. We've seen in the first two games against the Suns and now the Lakers where the Dallas Mavericks, even when they are able to get stops, they are not able to complete possessions on those stops by getting the defensive rebounds. And at one point, this was a team in the Los Angeles Lakers that had out-rebounded, especially on the offensive rebound category, at one point 14-3. So when you look at what the Los Angeles Lakers did in this basketball game, they out-rebounded, out-muscled, and out-toughed the Dallas Mavericks, which is concerning because what we've talked about all preseason long for this basketball team was the idea that they were going to get tougher. They were going to get meaner. They were going to be able to put teams in a position where they weren't getting bullied. And that's exactly what has happened in the first couple of games. Not so much to the degree in the first game against the Suns, but definitely to the degree against the Los Angeles Lakers, where you say, Kevin, now hold on now. They got LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, all these guys in the front court that can punish you in terms of the boards. And I understand that. And Montrezl Harrell played this very nice basketball game, gave the Mavericks fits in terms of his rebounding and his energy, which the Mavericks did not match throughout the entirety of the basketball game. Not to mention, the Lakers pounded the Dallas Mavericks in terms of getting out in transition. Their ability to rebound and clean up the glass on the defensive end led to plenty of transition buckets for LeBron James and company to get easy baskets. And then when you're giving up nearly 49% from three, when guys are raining down three-pointers such as Markieff Morris, and also Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma, and others, it puts you in a real tough hole for the Dallas Mavericks to come out of. And now they find themselves down 0-2. And what's concerning about what they talked about post-game was the idea that this is a team that needs to figure out how to get tougher, need to figure out how to be more inspired. It's kind of difficult to fathom that you wouldn't be inspired on a day when you're in the national showcase. You have your best player in Luka Doncic in his first ever Christmas primetime game, and you come up real small. Also, we've got to talk about this Dwight Powell thing. Now, I understand how good of a rim runner and rim attacker Dwight Powell is, but what teams are learning and continue to do, especially what we've seen through the first couple games and really throughout Dwight Powell's career, is the idea that he's not going to shoot many three-pointers and he's also not going to be a consistent three-point shooter when he does. There were times again where in this game against the Los Angeles Lakers where Marc Gasol dared Dwight Powell to shoot from the three-point line, And while, yes, Dwight Powell can drive to the basket on occasion, that really isn't his game, putting the ball on the deck and getting to the cup and trying to make things happen. In the one specific play where Marc Gasol dared him to shoot a three-point shot, he did a pump fake and then drove to the basket. He made one of 2 free throws. But the point is that as long as Kristaps Porzingis is not in this lineup, teams are not going to be afraid of Dwight Powell in terms of what he can and cannot do from the three-point line. And that gets me to what we've seen in these first couple of games so far, and kind of what we knew going into this season, honestly. Luka Doncic is really the only shot creator and maker on this team, the one person who can truly get everybody involved, and everyone's game in terms of open shots is predicated on his ability to get folks open. But when it comes time to go get a bucket, there isn't a one guy consistently who can do that. Josh Richardson can at times, Trey Burke can at times, but he comes off the bench. But there is no one else in the starting lineup aside from Luka Doncic who can go and get their own bucket and create their own shot. And that's a problem when teams start to get physical, as the Lakers did. The Lakers and other teams, as the Clippers, and we will see other teams throughout the season do, are going to get physical with Luka and make him drive to the basket, which he can do at will, and get to the free throw line as he continues to shoot a lot of free throws, especially in these first couple of games. But at the same time, there's no one else that really threatens to beat you in terms of your offensive game, especially from a shot creativity standpoint, other than Luka Doncic. And that's concerning, especially until Kristaps Porzingis comes back. And with Dwight Powell, the idea that, yes, he can do the pick and roll, but what Kristaps Porzingis does is he bends the math. His ability to shoot the ball from the three-point line creates mismatches for centers in this league where they have to come out and defend Kristaps Porzingis. No one is having to worry to come out to defend Dwight Powell at this moment. And you saw as the game went on between the Lakers and the Mavericks that James Johnson and Boban Marjanovic had to come in because they had to provide some size for the Dallas Mavericks, and that is of concern. Because as long as teams, and you'll see bigger teams in the West, like the Clippers, like the Lakers, the Suns, and others, the Denver Nuggets, who present problems with Nikola Jokic, teams that can pound the glass on the Dallas Mavericks, gives you some concerns about what is going to happen going forward. As you'll hear from Rick Carlisle here in just a moment, he will talk about the idea that this team is going to have to address this in a period of time, because now, as you look at what happened against the Los Angeles Lakers, this can't continue to happen. Here's Rick Carlisle talking about some of that after the game was over with.
Look, we'll look at different things. I mean, you can always change the lineup and put more size in there, things like that. And I got to look at the film and see for sure. It's just that I see a lot of possessions where we show a level of tenacity that's necessary, but too many where we don't. And I it's just it's a concern. But I'm going to look at the film objectively and make sure that whatever it is we need to address that we get to that.
So you can hear the concern from Rick Carlisle in his voice about what is going on with his team from a rebounding perspective. And that, to me, is a major concern as you start looking forward to the rugged Western Conference that the Dallas Mavericks have played in. They started off now 0-2. And in a league and in a Western Conference where it is as deep and as tough as they come, especially this year, you can't afford to find yourself getting behind too quickly, especially when you're trying to hurry up and get Kristaps Porzingis back, because they're going to have to find out what they need to do with Willie Cauley-Stein, Dwight Powell, and others, because the way that they got out-rebounded in game number 2 against the Los Angeles Lakers is completely inexcusable. And for this team to already be talking about trying to figure out how to give better effort is really concerning.
I don't feel like we laid down. I think it was stretches in the first half where, it was times we looked disinterested. And on a game like today, I don't know why it would be that way. But I don't think we laid down. For the most part, I think we fought. both units, and we gave ourselves a chance a couple times throughout the second half. We was down 8-9 points, and just never got over that hump. So we know that's a championship team. I think we can learn a lot from this game.
This is a team that, of course, has a lot of expectations coming into the season, but at the same time, we knew that this was a possibility in terms of going 0-3, but we didn't think it would look this bad, especially against the Los Angeles Lakers, who I know are the world champions in the NBA and present two of the 5 best players in the world right now in terms of Anthony Davis, an MVP candidate alongside him, LeBron James. But at the same time, there was no reason why Luka Doncic should not have punished Dennis Schroeder more in that basketball game, especially when the Lakers made it very clear that Schroeder was going to be taking the defensive assignment against Luka Doncic. And conversely, on the other end, I did not like the idea of Rick Carlisle starting Luka Doncic guarding LeBron James, which you saw throughout the first quarter of the game against the Los Angeles Lakers. So there is some rotational things that the Mavericks are going to have to work through and clean up, especially at the center position when you're looking at Dwight Powell and Boban Marjanovic and trying to create some more size so they're not getting out-muscled, out-toughed, and out-rebounded on a consistent and nightly basis. And more so on the offensive side, finding their flow. This is a team that's looked a little bit out of sync the first couple of games. People have been hitting me up on Twitter saying, Kevin, what's wrong with Luka Doncic? Is he out of shape? Well, he's admitted that he's trying to work himself back into shape. And as he does, he'll start to find his offensive rhythm and flow a little bit more. But other guys around him are going to have to knock down shots. Now, they went 13 of 32, going nearly 41% from the three-point line, so they shot the three ball a little bit better in this game against the Lakers. But at the same time, there's got to be a second guy that's going to be able to create his own shot and take some of that offensive scoring load off of Luka Doncic, because right now Luka is carrying the load, which we expected him to do. But at the same time, you thought you could find another shot maker, maybe a Josh Richardson, to be able to take some of that pressure off of Luka Doncic. But what concerns me the most is that the size of the Dallas Mavericks is really coming to a head in a negative way as they get punished on the boards, getting outscored 35-0 in second chance points. And that's about desire. That's about will. That's about being engaged, or the lack thereof, with respect to this game. And more importantly, how that continues to show up when they're not finishing possessions by getting defensive rebounds. And if that's the case, oh boy, this is going to be a tough stretch for the Dallas Mavericks as they start to figure things out until the unicorn comes back. You saw him start to get some more practice in terms of 5-on-5 work as he was getting into practice as the team was preparing to play the Los Angeles Lakers. But at the same time, yeah, they're going to need the unicorn back here rather soon. Otherwise, this thing could get ugly rather quickly. We will see as the Dallas Mavericks take on the Los Angeles Clippers in game number 3. But right now, this team is 0-2 and going nowhere fast. And after getting dominated by the world champions, there's a lot of concern about this, how the size of this team is going to continue. But more importantly, the effort and being engaged, how that continues for this team, and see if they will respond and be able to do so. Otherwise, yeah, Mavericks got some problems here. But we'll see how they bounce back as they get ready for game number 3, and more importantly, go forward as they get ready to look toward the new year with respect to playing in this tough Western Conference. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and like on the video right here at Kevin Gray Sports on YouTube. We'll talk to you later. Peace.